and we were gonna get high before we went there. So we kind of went off down this back alley, and we're just kind of hiding back there because you're not really supposed to smoke in India. It's still considered, it's illegal.
Okay, dude, you ready?
I know words, I have the best words.
Almost kind of lower primal instinctual things. That's the kind of stuff that runs my life, like desire and lust and greed, selfishness, all these kind of things. These are like the core tenets of how I've lived my life, mostly. These are the people that are occupying this apartment. Greed, lust. So for me, having a spiritual practice was an integral realization that I realized I had to have, because it helps me detach from those values, helps me detach from those lower aspects of who I am, and helps me identify with being something beautiful, something sacred, something divine, which we all are. I want to connect with those places and have that be the way that I perceive my life. Not through my selfishness, but through my beauty. Because those are equal parts within myself. I can choose to view the world through a selfish perspective. It's there. You know, if I want to go and do whatever I want to do, that option is available to me. For me, I think strength comes from the recognition that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's easy for us to put on this front like, I don't care. You know, to block all of it out, and that keeps us strong, that keeps us going. But there's another level to that strength, which is vulnerability and rawness and realness, and you can't beat that. This is what helps me tune into this. This is my puja, or my altar, or my worship table, you could call it. And so I pretty much, for the most part, stay having incense lit. I find that incense help keep me calm. Like having a nice smell keeps me calm. I don't really know how else to put it. This is a Shiva that I had hand carved specifically to the way I wanted him to look. I've always naturally been attracted to Shiva. I'm not sure where it comes from, but there's something about Shiva that I feel connected to. So I put him here. You can see him, got another picture of him back there. And also here on my wall. This is Ram Dass. I carry this picture all around with me in India. And Ram Dass is a teacher of mine who went to India in the 70s and met Neem Karoli Baba, who is this guy right here. And Ram Dass was like a psychedelic kind of hippie from that era, and he dropped that for spirituality because he found that they were interchangeable. They were heads and tails of the same coin. I really resonate with Ram Dass because this is kind of where I come from the same kind of place where, you know, I was taking psychedelics and they kind of led me to this spiritual path in which I wasn't even really interested in beforehand. But for me, psychedelics made it so clear that the way I am living is just kind of an illusion. And Neem Karoli Baba was the psychedelic experience incarnate. The story of Ram Dass giving Neem Karoli Baba LSD and it not doing anything to him because he is naturally in those states. And what Neem Karoli Baba told Ram Dass was that psychedelics can be good when you're beginning your spirituality because it can really shake you awake. And what Neem Karoli Baba told Ram Dass was, he said that the psychedelic experience can give you darshan of Christ. What darshan means, like, it can give you, darshan is like the experience of being around a saintly person. Like being around your guru or teacher, or like, I mean, imagine being around Jesus. So he said that taking a psychedelic can put you in a room with Jesus, but you have to leave. You have to leave. So it's better for you to become Jesus than to just hang out with him in a room, which is spiritual practice. So you can take the psychedelic to be shown your potential, your inner divinity, to be shown the Christ within you. Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven is within. Let thy eye be single. So if we can get to this place in ourselves, that's where we want to be. So psychedelics are helpful for being the window through which you see truth, but you need to make the steps to open the window or find a doorway or do your own thing. And for me, having this table full of people that I consider to be reflections of pure divinity, it helps me stay aligned to my own self. So it's like looking at a mirror being reflected back at me, like a reminder almost. These are Tulsi beads. These are called mala beads, which you chant different mantras onto them. And a mantra, like any of this, is another symbol for you to connect to that divinity, for you to see your divinity. So we chant these different mantras which have different meanings, like Hare Krishna. This is Krishna. Krishna represents you could say, the masculine aspect of the universe, and his lover Radha. Hare represents the feminine quality of the universe, and together their love flows and creates everything that we see. That's the story. You guys may have noticed a swastika. A swastika is actually a positive symbol in Asia, hijacked later, as we all notoriously know it, by the Nazis. This was actually a mala that was given to me at a Ram Dass retreat by Raghu Marcus, who you guys have seen in some of my India vlogs, and you might have seen him on the Mind Rolling podcast. But he gave me this mala, which actually has a thread of Neem Karoli Baba's blanket sewn into it. So Neem Karoli Baba, this is a part of his little blanket right here. So that's a really special relic that I cherish. And you could argue that this is all just spiritual materialism, which, maybe, yeah, fundamentally it is, but I think it's useful. I made this analogy in my previous video, I think, one of my videos recently, and my analogy was to try to remember a time where you went to the movies, like to the theater, and you saw a badass movie that would just inspired you. It inspired you to the point where you got out and you're just like, you walking out of the movie theater like, I can do anything I want. You feel passionate and inspired, but ultimately, what happened? You just sat on a chair and watched lights flicker on a screen. That inspiration, that passion, that love, or whatever, that emotion, whatever it was. We have all seen emotional movies also. Whatever that emotion is that's being triggered and brought out of you and emerged into this physical world is already inside of you. It's just being triggered by some external thing, and this to me is my external trigger to bring me to those places, to bring those inner positive qualities out of myself. In India, especially in the Himalayas, they worship Shiva, and one of the offerings that you can give to Shiva, which I offered this to Shiva before I left to India, is marijuana. You will see sadhus and yogis smoking weed and hash in India, and they're usually devotees of Shiva. They consider weed to be a spiritual sacrament, something that connects you to God, rather than just something to get high off of. And this over here is my copy of Be Here Now. And Ram Dass signed this one for me. So that's really special for me. My friend Prahlad, who you can see a picture of here, he was actually one of the biggest catalysts in my spiritual awakening outside of psychedelics, as far as like a person comes, where I could share and expose my thoughts of spirituality with, I didn't have a lot of friends to talk about this stuff to, who's into this kind of stuff, especially in the depth that I've found myself to be interested in it too. And he was a monk traveling around. He was distributing spiritual books like the Bhagavad Gita, and I knew about the Bhagavad Gita, and I probably met him maybe 6 years ago now, and I was like, oh, this book, you're just walking around selling this book? And he's like, yeah, I'm a monk, and this is what I do. And we became best friends. I traveled all around the country with him, and last December he killed himself. It's been real rough for me. I don't ever really talk about it on my YouTube, but yeah, I think about him every day. And so I miss you. I respect you. I know you're somewhere. He gave me these malas, which is why I keep them up here so I don't lose them. Big part of my practice is surrendering to these symbols. I feel like all these symbols ultimately represent the same thing to me, the same quality to me, that eternal divinity, these are all symbols of that. So that's a big part of my practice. Playing music is a good meditation. These are kartals, and this is a drum. It's called the mridangam. It's a traditional Eastern drum from India. And it's got a deeper drum down here in the bottom. That's it for me. Playing music, I got some guitars over here, a didgeridoo. I get music. Music for me is such a meditation, and I get lost so easily. I find reading really useful. The Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, these are really potent spiritual books. Be Here Now, Be As You Are, another book, Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. All of these books will really help you a lot. And whenever you are feeling a bit down or a bit lost, you should read some of these books, like the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. But if reading is not your thing, then you can try chanting. Chanting is another thing I do when I'm just like lost in the chaos of my thoughts. The repetition of mantra, like we talked about the Hare Krishna mantra, or Ram Dass suggests to repeat, I am loving awareness. I'm loving awareness. I'm loving awareness. And through the repetition of this symbol, whatever symbol it is, and your attachment to that meaning, like I am loving awareness. Okay, well, if you break down what loving awareness is, and if you repeat that enough, then you will become loving awareness. It's like anything. We are always chanting a mantra. Whatever it is. I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm sad, I'm sad, I'm sad. And because that is the repetition being played in our thoughts, our life becomes a reflection of that. So japa, or mantra meditation, or what it's called here in the West, transcendental meditation, will help you gather your thoughts. Like imagine your thoughts being a pigsty. Like my room a little bit. My room's a little bit of a pigsty right now. So my mind is like that sometimes. When I do mantra meditation, I can gather all of my junk into a pile and keep it there and keep control over my stuff. What I do as far as meditating goes is I'll usually just sit cross-legged, usually half lotus. I don't know if that's relevant to anything, it's just the way I find comfortable to sit. And I just really focus on my breath, and I try to use my breath as being similar to a mantra. In and out, in and out, and if I still can't find my thoughts, being able to not to focus on my breath and kind of get their focusing elsewhere, I will chant while breathing. And the chanting helps singulate my thoughts, so it's so not so all over the place. And yeah, I don't have any crazy kind of rituals that I do, or any sort of. I spend an hour of my day meditating, and maybe that's a lot for some people, but I think we all meditate in our own ways. You don't have to sit down cross-legged like, some Buddha statue or something. Meditation can mean a lot of different things. What meditation means is concentration. That's what meditation means. Meditation can be playing music. Meditation can be drawing or writing poetry. It's allowing yourself to connect to that energy of creation. That's what God is. God is this creative, eternal energy force. So meditation is just tuning into that place where all things emerge out of. And I think playing music or any of this stuff is also tuning into that place, because if you are someone that, I write poetry, for example. When I'm writing poetry, like my best stuff, it's like I'm not even writing it. It's just coming out of me. It's like it's just kind of falling out of the sky, and I'm just putting it on paper, People that I've talked to that are good at music or art or any of this kind of stuff, they say they also get into these kind of states. Like I have friends that play in bands, and they're like, I'm not even up there when I'm on stage. Like it's just a moment, It's just a moment. And that's what meditation is. I wanted to show you guys a couple other things on my puja. Puja means like worship. This is called tilak, and tilak in the Hindu tradition, it goes on your forehead to symbolize your divinity, or to symbolize like your third eye. You can see Shiva here. He's got tilak on his forehead. Or let me see, who else? Do I got any other pictures? Or like Ganesh there. Or Krishna here. Krishna actually wears white tilak, which is this stuff here. It's clay. I got this, a guru gave this to me. What was his name? What was that guy's name? I forget his name. But I hung out with this guru for a couple days and at a farm. And yeah, this is red tilak. And all you do I have water? And traditionally, you're supposed to use your middle finger. Even when you're chanting with your beads, you're supposed to use your middle finger. The middle finger represents some sort of mudra. My friend Prahlad used to describe it as, this finger is just a bad finger. You pick your nose with it and you point at people. So you skip it and use your middle finger. Oh, I forgot about this thing. This thing right here, this little orange thing. I was in India, outside of Rishikesh, at a Krishna Das concert. Some of you guys might know who Krishna Das is. I had my own little scooter and I was cruising around the crazy streets of India with my friend Encore. And me and Encore, we went to see Krishna Das and we were going to get high before we went there. So we kind of went off down this back alley and we're just kind of hiding back there because you're not really supposed to smoke in India. It's still considered, it's illegal. They allow the sadhus to kind of smoke because it's a spiritual thing, but you know, me and my friend don't really fit the role of like the orange-robed, long-haired sadhus. So we're just back there and we're rolling up our hash and tobacco and we hear someone coming and we look over and it's just this little tiny sadhu. Super long dreads, orange robe, barefoot, and he just looks at us and smiles and he offers us to smoke with him. He has a little chillum. A chillum is what they smoke, what these sadhus smoke out of. He didn't speak any English at all. My friend Encore hardly speaks English, so like he could just barely translate for me. And I remember one of the questions he kept repeating, this sadhu, he kept looking at me and he would smile and he kept saying in Hindi, "What is love? What is love? What is love?" And I didn't know what he was saying, but my friend told me he just kept asking you, "What is love?" And we smoked with him and we just kind of connected through smiles and eyes, and I don't know, it was a beautiful raw interaction. And before he left, he ripped this off of his like scarf thing that he's wearing, his robe, a piece of his robe, and he gave it to me and said, "Whenever you smoke, use this. Whenever you smoke, use this." So I thought that was really cool, and I kept that with me all throughout India. This right here is a Shiva lingam. This actually represents Shiva's penis and the masculine quality of the universe. This is Hanuman, Jai Hanuman. Hanuman is the monkey god. He represents our monkey mind, the human mind, although he has controlled it, and he is the pure servant of Lord Ram. Neem Karoli Baba is sometimes referred to as Hanuman, or he's actually referred to as Shiva by his original old devotees from a long, long time ago, but as the time went on, he was later known as to be an incarnation of Hanuman. And Jesus is my homeboy. I mean, Jesus, I feel like he reminds me of myself a little bit, you know, it kind of looks like me a little bit, and I feel like we'd probably hang out. Make sure to click subscribe down there, give this video a thumbs up. I hope you liked my rambling about, what did we even talk about? I don't even know. See you guys next time. Om Shanti. Shanti Shanti swag.